Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to I Care About You, the podcast where we dive deep into the realities of emotional and mental well being, especially as it relates to our purpose, resilience, self love, and compassion. And I'm your host, Juliana J. Today, we're going to talk about something we all face, whether we like it or not: turning points in life. The moments where things shift, sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly, and we're called to grow, to reassess, and even redefine who we are and where we're going. If you enjoy this type of conversation, be sure to like and subscribe depending on your platform. You can also learn more about me and how to work together through my website. The link is in the show notes. So, really, this turning point, I decided to talk about this because we're at the beginning of the year here, and a lot of people are experiencing turning points. 2025 has been a year where a lot has happened. It's the end of an astrological cycle and the beginning of a new one. People have been feeling a lot of upheaval in their lives because of layoffs and the economy and all types of uncertainty that's happening here, especially in the United States. There's a lot of upheaval, disagreement, there's a lot of worry. And here we are in 2027, this sort of turning point. Some of us are thinking, should I relocate somewhere else? Should I drop everything and just reevaluate my life? And some of us are forced to do those things. There's a lot of times in our life that are just ripe for inner reflection. Many of us experience a sense of standing at a crossroads, naturally evaluating where we've been and where we want to go next. Sometimes that crossroads is forced. We ask questions like, did I accomplish what I really wanted to this year? What am I proud of? What feels unfinished? What no longer serves me? And generally, I think a lot of us ask, why the heck is this even happening? Now I'm forced to do something I'm not ready to do or I don't want to do. And it's really hard. Want to say a little bit something about that last question of what no longer serves us. That is often the hardest thing to face because change, real change is hard. Now, that what no longer serves us, letting go of what no longer serves us, recognizing what no longer serves us, all of that gets talked about a lot. But what is it really? I mean, what no longer serves requires change. It requires pivoting, looking at something new, becoming something new, working on being something new. It invites uncertainty. It brings up fear, anxiety, stress, sadness, loneliness. It can take you in a whirlwind and you question your decisions, your worth, your strength, decisions you made in the past. You might even feel frozen or mad or angry, hopeless, or maybe even all of the above at once. And yet you're here listening. That means something. You're trying to figure this out. That's huge. So, why does change feel so hard? Even when it's good, even when it's good change, even when change will eventually benefit us, it can feel terrifying in the moment. Why? Because change asks us to leave what's familiar, even if what is familiar is painful, and step into something unknown. Sometimes we relied on external validation, expectation from others, habits that no longer fit, roles that once defined us. And we're now being asked at this crossroads to let some of that go. Maybe we've measured our worth by how we made others feel. Yes, that's a huge one for me. Or by someone else's standards. Yes, totally. Maybe we worked for approval and not for our own joy. Yes, I would say 100% true. What I do in the work world for work is not a passion. It's just something I was expected to do, so I did, and now it's become a career path. What happens when that guidance, that external compass falls away? We have to learn to trust ourselves. And that's not failure, that's growth. Growth is in so much of what we define as failure in our lives. And we're defining it as failure because that's the societal expectation. That's what we think it is because society has defined it for us as that. Losing a job, failure. Losing a marriage, failure. Getting dumped in a relationship, failure. All these things. And it's not really that. That's a social construct. It's really a shift in life, a crossroads where you're asked to grow. It's really hard to see, though, in the moment, right? Being there is hard. A shift in perspective, that is hard. And here's something I want you to hear. Not all turning points are negative. Even the ones that feel painful often contain seeds of possibility. Let's flip the script on the idea that obstacles are failures. In reality, life isn't a straight ladder going up. It's a series of waves, rising and falling, sometimes violently, and each wave teaches us something about who we are. We can also get taken out with the tide or brought in with the tide. Life is a lot of back and forth, up and down, riding the waves, surviving the storms, and getting back up and moving on. Each wave teaches us something about who we are, though. That's what's really important. These ups and downs, back and forth, they all are opportunities for growth and they help us realize who we are. The real reason isn't why is this happening to me? That's not the real question, although we ask ourselves that all the time. It's what in this moment is here. What is this moment inviting me to become, to look at, to explore, to be curious about? 10 questions to guide you through change. These are the questions you can journal on, meditate with, speak out loud, sit silently, reflect on, one at a time, of course. But I'm going to give you 10 questions that are really going to help you organize your thoughts around this crossroads. You don't have to answer them all at once. Just let them guide you inward. The answers you need are inward. Sometimes they're so quiet, it's really hard to hear. And sometimes you're afraid of the answer. How many times has there been something where you know what you want to do, you know what you should do, but yet you feel somebody will disapprove of it? And so you're stuck in this space of not moving forward, or you end up doing what somebody else wants you to do. These questions will help guide you inward so that you can actually explore for yourself what you need. The first one is a very common, you hear it all the time. What do I need to let go of? This I like to do just sitting quietly in meditation or reflection. And I just let the issue I'm struggling with bubble up to the surface and I name it out loud. That is super powerful. If you can name what's bothering you, studies show it becomes less charged, less explosive in your mind. You take back a little bit of your power when you name it out loud. So name what you need to let go of. It might be something starting with, I'm at this crossroads. Like for me, the reason why I'm recording in the space I'm recording in today with all these animals on my lap and roaming around is because I'm moving. And I spent a lot of time, like all of 2025, trying to figure out, should I move? Should I not move? People are going to be mad at me if I move. but I really feel like that's my journey in life. I need to move. If I move, there's going to be less of these resources and more of these other resources. And what is all of that going to look like? And I was really rooted in the fear of that, fear of people being mad at me, fear of what if I can't do it, the fear of the actual intention of moving, the act of moving, all the things you have to do around it. And when reflecting on it, I realized I've talked about this on other podcasts. I realized that I'm just afraid to be alone. The fear that this crossroads brought up for me was the fear of being alone. And then I asked myself, is it tied to expectations from others? Sorry, I've been really sick. Is it tied to expectations? Expectations from others or from society? Yes, 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 and yes. It also is coupled with moving away from a certain relationship, and people expect me to be in that relationship, and that's really hard to overcome. And then societal thoughts of, what an old woman living alone is means, and all that spinster stuff, and am I unlovable, and all of these things. What does that fear tell you about yourself? You have to ask yourself that once you identify what the emotions are behind what you're trying to let go of, why you're afraid to let go of it. What does that fear tell you about yourself? And sit with that and notice what comes up. And for me, it just all came down to this. I am always trying to get worth from other people, validation from other people. I am not validating myself, giving myself enough self compassion and understanding. Instead, I want other people to give me that, and that gives me my worth, which is very untrue. We're all born worthy. You're worthy just as you are, regardless of what people say. You're here. You're worthy. The second question is, what new thing would I like to build for myself? Don't worry about how to do it yet. Just name it. What do you want? What's your dream? What are your goals for 2026? What do you want? What are you longing to create? Why does it matter to you? Identify those things, name them out loud, write them down, talk about them. You don't have to have all the answers for how to get there, but you definitely know what your goals and your dreams are. You know. So give yourself permission to know what those things are and write them down and name them. The third question, what potential door is this change opening? Could this shift actually be an opportunity? Where might this lead? Even if I can't see the whole path yet. Great example is my whole thing of struggling all of 2025 to move because I was just really unhappy where I was. And there's a lot of beautiful, great things about where I was, but ultimately, I knew it wasn't right for me. And as soon as I put out the impetus to really move, I was offered a position in the where I wanted to move. I I was offered a couple radio shows which might impact this podcast a little bit as I transition over to that. And all these doors opened up that would have never opened up for me otherwise. And that had to do with moving forward with goals and dreams that I had, even though I didn't know the path yet. I just knew change was necessary. Number 4, this is very similar to what you need to let go of, but what needs to be shed. Sometimes crossroads appear because we are carrying too much emotional weight, relationships that don't nourish us, beliefs that limit us. What are the things you need to shed? It's a little different from the things you need to let go of. Like you might realize, I need to let go of this toxic job I have. Even though I have a really great title, that makes me feel proud, the job itself is toxic. So I need to let go of that. I need to let go of certain emotions and feelings around that. But there's also the thing of, are you carrying too much? Is there too much emotional weight? relationships that aren't nourishing you. A lot of toxic situations really have to do with relationships not being nourishing at all or beneficial to you. And what beliefs has all of that created for you that's limiting you? In the work world, oftentimes we don't feel like we're worthy, we're smart, people value our work, and those beliefs limit you. What burdens can you release? Sometimes a burden is a long commute. Sometimes a burden is always saying yes, not having boundaries. Number 5, what part of this change is temporary? All of it, my friend, all of it, because life is just a series of changes. But I want to talk specifically about realizing that this change, this uncomfortable place you are right now, that is temporary. Painful moments feel just eternal in the moment, but they're all temporary. You can get through them, over them, they fade. Can you identify what will fade in time? Can you find beauty within the discomfort? Those are really big questions, so sit with those for a while. But it's important to know that everything changes. That's the definition of life, my friend. It's not going to stay the same all the time. And so, what is temporary? Is this grief, this sadness temporary? Is the weight of it temporary? Maybe you carry the grief throughout your life about something, but it's not as potent. Or maybe you're in a hard point right now, like for me, oh my gosh, where am I going to live? That's temporary. I'll figure it out. 6, are your life goals still yours? Are your life goals still yours? This is change steering you toward your goals. Or is it away from them? Maybe your goals don't match you. Maybe they're not really your goals. Have your goals themselves shifted? It's okay if they have. Goals evolve. Just make sure that you are always choosing the goals that you really want, not what other people expect, not old goals that aren't serving you anymore, that you're not interested anymore, that you don't have passion for anymore. It's okay to shift or evolve your goals. 7, what are your emotions around change and where did they come from? Are they rooted in your childhood, societal expectations? Are they rooted in old wounds? Understanding with origin helps you see them with compassion, not as enemies, not as just something that's here in the now. But if you can trace it back to, yes, I'm uncomfortable with meeting new people because I had some bad experiences in first grade that made it really hard for me, and realize that that was part of you when you were a child. You can redefine that now. You can work with that now. 8, what can you control right now? And what do you need to trust? Some parts of change are in your hands, and some parts aren't. Other parts of change require surrender. When do you act? And when do you breathe and let it unfold? Now, I totally believe in divine timing. I always try to make things happen, but that's not always what happens. But in the end, the best possible thing always happens for me, even if it was an incredibly painful and even traumatic road. In the end, it's better. So, figuring out what can you do to work towards your goals and what do you need to breathe and let unfold. This was really hard for me. I totally had to learn it with this last thing about moving. I can't push it. I just have to let it unfold. And that's what I'm doing. And it's really hard because I'm a doer. So if I decide I'm going to do something in life, I do it. And it's been really hard to just sit in the space of letting it unfold. That's hard for some people. But journal about it, talk about it, meditate on it, reflect on it when you're feeling like, why isn't anything happening? 9, ask yourself, where is there abundance in my life? Who can you lean on? What places bring you peace? What sources, external or internal, can sustain you when you feel overwhelmed. That could be a therapist, that could be some other modality of some kind, that could be a good friend, family, that could be walking in nature. There's so many things it could be, but identify what you can lean on and where your abundance is in your life. Even though there are some things I feel I would like more abundance of, I do have a lot of abundance in my life. And what can you do today? Small, tiny steps matter. Oh my gosh, they matter so much. And any goal that you'll ever have in your life, the small steps matter. Starting matters. Starting is the hardest part. Doing the first thing is the hardest part. And just as important, how can you nurture yourself through this process? Self care isn't superficial, it fuels your resilience. While having tea one morning, a chaos of birds arrived in my backyard, loud, jostling, almost like a choir demanding attention. I mean, they were outrageous. I just watched them for a moment. All noise, all life, just really going at it. It turned out to be a bunch of ravens or crows trying to chase off a hawk. And also a bunch of squirrels got involved in the situation. And it was really loud. And there was, I swear, hundreds of birds. And all this noise was going on. They were chasing around the hawk. And then all of a sudden, abruptly, like complete silence. Every single bird stopped, just quiet. And I just sat there. My heart was open. I felt something shift inside me that moment. That unexpected, ordinary miracle of life felt like a sign, not a command, not a certainty, just a gentle whisper of encouragement. Signs aren't proof, they're comfort. They tell us that we're not alone. I, again, totally believe in signs because I do believe that spirit guides are out there, that your ancestors are out there, that your angels are there, that there's guidance for you. And when you see it in a sign out in nature in your life, recognize it and take it in. Take it in. You don't have to stay in the space of like, life is really rational and literal and everything's out to get me. If you open up yourself to the signs and the greater life that's going on around you, it can really change your perspective in difficult things you're struggling with. Here is a truth that many of us miss. Sometimes staying in an old place is more painful than moving forward. Ask yourself, would staying hurt you just as much? And are you prolonging pain because the unknown feels too scary? Sometimes what looks like fear is really protection, but sometimes it's just resistance. And it's kind of like knowing when is it is. When is fear protection? Like, I shouldn't walk down a dark alley at 2 a.m. And when is it resistance? Resisting the change because of the fear of the unknown. Distinguish between I can't change and I'm scared to change. That is huge. Are you scared to change? And you have to be really honest with yourself. This is some deep shadow work, folks. You have to be able to go to the hard places and learn some hard truths about yourself to really take full advantage of what is happening. There's a huge difference between I can't change and I'm scared to change. And being aware of it is extremely powerful. Like I said, naming it sucks out the power. Smaller shifts matter too. Not every change has to be this big drastic thing. Sometimes the shift you need is subtle, a tweak in how you show up, how you speak to yourself, how you relate to others. Maybe it's your longing that isn't for a new life, but a new way of relating to your life. Subtle change can be really profound. It really can. I led a manifesting group about a week ago, and I really emphasized to everyone that You have to get out of your comfort zone if you really want to manifest something new. That is an expectation. You can't do it unless you're willing to. You can't make great, wonderful, beautiful change in your life unless you're willing to get out of your comfort zone. And sometimes your comfort zone is hurting you, like we've been talking about. But it's easier to stay in the comfort zone than it is to strike out anew. Before we talk about the last closing truth, I want to tell you about our sponsors. Using the promo code I Care About You, the first one is Zevo Life at zevo.life. I'll put it in the description. Get 30% off with your order if you use I Care About You. They have really great product that just nurtures your body with antioxidants and all types of other things. It's a really yummy tasting drink, and it really helps your skin and your hair and your stamina and just having energy. It's great. And then we also have Cozy Earth, cozyearth.com. Get 41% off luxury sheets, pajamas, and more using the promo code I Care About You, and I'll put that all in the description. So let's talk about our last closing truth. All of the changes in my life, even the painful ones, and there have been some really painful ones, have brought me places I never would have reached otherwise. So true. If I hadn't walked through the fear, I wouldn't have found what's on the other side. I wouldn't be here in this moment with you. I would have never started a podcast unless I got over the fear and just did it. Sometimes gratitude comes later, not in the moment, but in hindsight. In the moment, you hate the change, but in hindsight, you go, wow, that's amazing. And literally, I would have never published a book had I not got out of my comfort zone and sought change. I wouldn't have this podcast. I wouldn't have so much of all the wonderful things I have in my life had I not been willing to change, to embrace change. If you can find even a small space of thankfulness within your current change, it can shift your energy, your perspective, and your heart. You don't have to be really Pollyanna-ish about it and all toxic positivity. Just find something that's good in all of the uncertainty that's happening. Sometimes that can really be an anchor to hold on to. Just the possibility that there's growth happening inside you right now is an anchor. So, my dear friends, I want you to know that you are not alone. Take life one day at a time, one breath at a time. Be kind to yourself. Change is hard. It's very scary. And remember, you are loved and your journey matters. If today's episode helped you at all, please share with someone who might need to hear this. Let me know. What crossroads are you facing? What questions came up for you? You can reach out with comments or message me directly. Subscribe to I Care About You so you don't miss future episodes. We're changing the format a little bit in 2026, and that's going to be really fun, so stay tuned for that. And if you want more guidance on navigating through tough times, grab my book, Reasons to Live. The link is on my website, and I'll leave it below. It has so many great exercises for just working through and navigating tough times, because life's going to bring those to you. And it's okay. We've all been there. So until next time, dear friend, take good care of yourself. Know that I love you and I support you and I care about you. And we're all in this together.